It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. You don't have an enemy out there, you carry it inside, the need to be loved. It dresses itself as kindness, diplomacy, maturity, but it is hunger, and hunger makes bargains you later regret. Approval seems like shelter, like warm hands on your back, but the price is your spine. You begin to edit yourself to fit another's comfort. You trade commands for compliments. You stop ruling and start auditioning. Name the enemy first. Approval-seeking is a market where you sell sovereignty for applause. You smile when you should be silent. You explain when you should decide. You give a little more than you promised, just to keep the room sweet. Soon, the room expects sweetness on demand. In meetings, you soften deadlines. In your family, you let disrespect pass because you want peace tonight. Online, you chase likes with safe opinions. The applause feels like safety, but it is a leash, and hands you cannot see are tightening it. Now the midnight question: why is fear safer than love? Because love is a promise people abandon when it demands sacrifice. Fear is a calculation they keep because it is cheaper to keep than to test. People love you for what you give them. They refrain from crossing you because of what it would cost them. One is the weather, the other is architecture. You cannot control the weather, but you can build a structure that stands when it turns. This is not cruelty, it is realism. A leader whose rules are clear and consistently enforced becomes respected, even by those who dislike him. Picture a ruler weighing a decree at midnight. If you choose to be loved, you will delay, rewrite, and soften until the order dissolves. The city will read your hesitation and govern itself badly. If you choose respect, the predictable bite of consequence, silence will follow your words, and order will follow silence. No shouting, no threats, just a reputation that moves ahead of you like a herald in a dark hall. Mercy without power is bait. Kindness without a credible boundary is honey that draws wasps. Opportunists test you the way thieves test doors. They do not hate you, they simply knock. If the door yields, they enter. Set a rule, enforce it once. Do it early, proportionate, and clean. A contractor misses the agreed date and offers a charming story. You thank the story and invoke the clause. A team member breaks a non-negotiable. You cut the privilege quietly and document it. A relative borrows money and tries to extend the deadline. You convert the favor into a contract, or you close the door. Do not confuse this with theatrics. Loud punishments are insecure performances. The strong prefer quiet machinery. Clear rules, narrow penalties, swift resets. You show the door is locked, and then you stop talking about doors. You do not beg people to respect you. You make disrespect expensive. You reward compliance without kneeling for gratitude. You treat goodwill as a lease, renewed by competence and fairness, not as a deed signed forever. You are not required to be cruel, you are required to be credible. When you remove the bait, when you stop offering mercy as a substitute for discipline, you become easier to predict. And predictability is the most humane gift of power. People will learn where the edges are. They will step more carefully. The descent will feel safer. The parasites will migrate. Let the hunger to be loved starve. Let necessity sit at the head of your table. Build your house from rules that hold under storms. Accept fewer songs and fewer crises. Seek respect, not approval, and let order love you back. The crowd's love is a warm blanket in a burning house. It soothes you while the beams crack above your head. You listen to the cheers and your pulse slows. It feels like safety. It feels like proof that you matter. But popularity is a brittle shield. It breaks at the first serious cost. Crowds do not love you. They love what you deliver to them today. Tomorrow has different weather, and affection follows the wind. When the bill arrives, the same mouths that praised you rehearse a new song. You cannot build a principality on songs. Hear the difference between noise and loyalty. Noise is volume, loyalty is risk. The loudest voices in your comment section vanish when sacrifice is required. The colleague who claps at your all hands will not defend your decision when a client complains. The crowd loves gains, discounts, access, drama. Loyalty loves order, clarity, and competence. Popularity is the festival. Loyalty is the watch at the gate at midnight. Do not resent the crowd for being the crowd. Simply stop treating their affection as armor. Treat it as weather. You prepare for storms not by asking the sky to like you, but by building a roof that holds. In power, the roof is rules, and the beams are consequences. Without them, your house collapses at the first gust of complaint. Now watch the trap that swallows rulers, the concession spiral. It begins with a small exception to keep the mood sweet. You cancel a fee just this once, delay a deadline to be understanding, overlook a violation for harmony. You taste approval and decide it is leadership. But the spiral tightens. Concession becomes an expectation. Expectation becomes dependence. Dependence becomes disrespect. Concession, expectation, dependence, disrespect. The chain is simple, the damage deep. In a startup, you waive accountability for a star engineer because you fear losing him. Soon the team learns that rules bend for talent. Expectation hardens. They deserve different treatment. Dependence grows. You can't ship without him. Then disrespect arrives. He ignores reviews, corners you with ultimatums. You are not leading. You are negotiating with a hostage who learned the script from you. At home, you excuse late-night intrusions from someone who trades crises for attention. Your soft no becomes a maybe. You may decay into silence. Expectation blooms. They assume your time is theirs. Dependence forms. Your peace now depends on preventing their anger. Disrespect follows. They speak over you and call you cold when you set a line. You did not choose this. You drifted into it, one concession at a time, trying to keep the room soft. Online, the spiral is public and fast. You post a stance to win approval. A new faction demands more. You shift again. Another wave arrives with sharper demands. Each move buys seconds of applause and months of confusion. Your reputation becomes a weather vane. Allies cannot plan with you. Rivals can. Love sells you comfort. It invoices you in control. Fear properly understood sells you silence. It bills you in discipline. Affection is seasonal. Consequences are perennial. This is not a call to cruelty. It is a call to stability. In teams, communities, and platforms, soft boundaries multiply grievances. When people do not know the price of crossing a line, they discover it by crossing, and they will cross again if the price is waived. Consider a team. If lateness draws a story instead of a sanction, the stories improve and the schedules degrade. If quality rules are flexible, defects become culture. People are not monsters. They are readers of incentives. They read what you enforce, not what you write. A manager who quietly logs violations and applies narrow, predictable consequences becomes boring, and this is good. Boring teamship, boring courts sleep. Drama is the hobby of the ungoverned. Consider a neighborhood. If council guidelines are negotiable on the basis of charm or pressure, the loudest neighbors govern. Trash days blur, noise hours dissolve, shared spaces rot. Not because people are evil, but because uncertainty rewards the pushy. A fine that actually arrives on time restores peace faster than 10 friendly warnings. Those who respect order feel protected. Those who test it learn that testing is expensive. Harmony follows the price. Tag. Consider the online mob. Its love is the most volatile of all because it costs nothing to give and nothing to retract. One clip wins a tide of hearts. One sentence clipped again summons torches. Do not pivot your soul to chase the tide. Set your code. If you must correct, correct once, clearly, and do not apologize to those committed to misunderstanding. Your predictability will bore the mob and steady those who matter. The rule is harsh because reality is harsh. People keep calculations longer than they keep promises. When boundaries are clear and the bite is credible, even those who dislike you adjust around you. They plan with you. They avoid your limits. They may never sing, but they will not revolt. Affection invites. Incentives organize. What about kindness? Keep it. Kindness inside firm edges is charity. Kindness outside them is bait. You can be generous and just. You can forgive and still charge the fine. You can listen and still conclude. Mercy without follow-through teaches predators to circle you. Mercy with follow-through teaches everyone to relax. You do not need to threaten. You need to be consistent. You do not need to be loud. You need to be legible. Set the rule once. Announce the price once. Apply it once. Then stop talking about it. Your reputation will do the speaking, and it speaks in a language older than applause, the language of consequence. Popular love is a candle in the wind. Respect is a lantern with a glass. Let others chase the flame. You will build the glass. Trade soft love for hard respect, and let peace collect the debt. You think you are deciding. In truth, your wounds vote first, and your lips read the result aloud. Look back, and you will notice the pattern. The room grows tense, and you soften. A voice challenges you, and you reward it with access. A rule is broken, and you call it an exception. You name it: diplomacy, maturity, emotional intelligence. But underneath the language sits an older animal, the child who learned that love arrives when you make yourself small, agreeable, and tireless. That child survived by pleasing. Today, that reflex carries a crown and calls itself leadership. Childhood scripts do not die. They change costumes. Early rejection writes a script with 2 lines. Do not upset them, or you will be alone. Give them what they want, and you will be safe. In the council chamber, the same script plays. You delay penalties because you fear losing talent. You permit misalignment because you fear conflict. You revise your standards in real time while your team watches the law melt. The public story: you are a listener. The private truth: you are avoiding the slam of an old door. Relentless clarity is mercy here. When you were young, a cold silence or sharp ridicule taught you to preempt anger with gifts: your time, your compliance, your smile. Now, when a partner raises their voice, your pulse obeys the old bell. You soften the contract. You shorten the review. The next morning you wake with a leadership hangover. You spent authority like a desperate tip to a rude customer. Consider the meeting where a senior performer interrupts you. Instead of calling time on the disrespect, you laugh and invite them to share more. The room takes note. They learn the real rule, the loudest rewrite of the agenda. That rule was not written by strategy. It was written by the old fear that conflict equals abandonment. You did not choose. Your wound chose, and you complied. Now study the courtiers. Flattery is anesthesia, and sycophants are skilled physicians. They find the tender place and numb it with praise. Only you can keep this team united. Translation: don't enforce standards on me. Your empathy is rare in leaders. Translation: forgive my repeat violation. Everyone feels safe with you. Translation: safety equals indulgence. They do not hate you, they harvest you. Praise is their fishing line, and your hunger bites cleanly every time. Watch how the anesthetic works. A manager who wants leeway compliments your vision in public channels, tags you as a mentor, then privately asks for flexibility for the sake of morale. A vendor showers you with admiration for your values, then proposes a clause that weakens your leverage. A relative posts a tribute to your generosity, then arrives with a new emergency and a tighter deadline. The praise is not payment, it's perfume masking the cost. Your task is not to loathe praise, it is to test it. Separate the compliment from the request. Ask, if I decline, does their admiration survive? If it evaporates, it is leverage, not loyalty. Cut it out. This is surgery without bitterness. You are not punishing sentiment. You are removing an anesthetic that blocks pain while the infection spreads. Now, the mask is called unity. Leaders injured by chaos in their past worship harmony in the present. They name avoidance, peace, call enforcement, division, and confuse the quiet before a collapse with stability. The court reflects the lie. Smiling faces hide knives because nobody believes the law is real. Factions flourish in polite air. Everyone nods, nobody complies. The language grows soft and noble. Let's hear every voice. Becomes, let's never decide. The corridor outside your office is quiet. The whispers are busy. A project manager promises delivery while privately negotiating 3 more exceptions. A strategist compliments your fairness while building a side channel to bypass approvals. The kingdom looks calm on the map, but along the borders, fires multiply. Unity is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of rules that survive conflict. Avoidance breeds a counterfeit calm, like snow covering a cracked bridge. It looks clean until a convoy rolls over it. When you refuse to face breach and name it, you are not preventing division, you are delaying a larger one. The knives outlive the smiles. To break the rule of the wound, expose it in daylight and replace its authority with your own. Start by naming the old bargain. I keep people happy, and they will not leave me. Replace it with a new contract. I keep standards clear, and the right people will stay. Say it out loud. When the pulse spikes, you know the child is at the wheel. Thank the child for surviving, then ask them to step back while the ruler drives. Create a simple test for every request wrapped in praise. Does it strengthen predictability, or does it buy short-term comfort at the expense of future respect? If it weakens predictability, the answer is no, politely, privately, and finally. Do this once a day for a month, and the court will rewrite its map of you. The flatterers will search for easier prey. The series will step closer. In practice, the star engineer who delivers brilliance and contempt. You meet privately, then you set the non-negotiable. The standards apply. The next breach triggers the known cost. No speeches, no public drama. If he adapts, you win against a strong player within the rules. If he leaves, you reduce the tax on the team. Both outcomes are ordered. Another practice. The partner who praises your humanity to extend terms. You acknowledge the compliment and move to paper. The clause stands. Offer a narrow concession that preserves the architecture, perhaps a staged payment with collateral. If they walk, they are buying you, not doing business with you. If they stay, respect increases because your signature means something. You fear that firmness makes you cold. In truth, it makes you legible. Children fear darkness more than lions because they cannot see what is there. Your people fear uncertainty more than penalties because uncertainty is endless. When you choose clarity over anesthesia and unity over avoidance, the knives lose their hiding places. You do not need to heal perfectly to rule wisely. You need to recognize the hands that once shaped you and choose your own grip. Your wounds may speak, but they no longer sign your decrees. You can be courteous and exacting, generous and unbribable, listening and unmovable. Let the old child rest. Let the adult guard the gate. Honor the wound, retire its script, and let standards speak. The cheers stop, and the room turns colder than stone. You look for warmth, and find a wall of faces waiting to see which version of you appears tonight. Yesterday you promised relief to the loud. Last week you promised firmness to the tired. Your words contradict one another, like soldiers from different armies wearing the same color. The silence between them is a courtroom. It delivers the verdict before you speak. From applause to silence that turn breaks rulers. You mistook volume for trust. You fed the crowd benefits until they tasted your fear, and now they want a second portion on demand. When you hesitate, cameras tilt. Advisors check their phones. You switch tone mid-sentence, bargaining with ghosts, stern for disciplinarians, soft for indulgent ears, grand for the restless. You do not decide, you sample. Every pivot weakens the next. The people learn the shape of your hesitation and plan to push it. You alter policy the way a nervous host rearranges chairs while guests arrive. Deadlines slip, exceptions multiply. A rule becomes a hint becomes a rumor. The faithful feel foolish for believing you the first time. The opportunists feel righteous for ignoring you the second. What was once a principality now resembles a weather report. Gusts of apology, scattered penalties, low visibility. The first silence teaches the court more than a year of speeches. They see that you become reasonable when pressed. Reasonable means elastic. Elastic means breakable. In boardrooms, lieutenants trade glances and hedge bets. In private chats, they write, "If leadership won't back this, your authority becomes an if. Your signature becomes a maybe. You wear the crown, but it is light, and everyone can feel it." Then the feeding frenzy begins. Factions read your limp. The clever one arrives with flattery, praising your vision for unity. He asks for a small variance to preserve morale. You nod, grateful for the soft tone. A second rival does not flatter. She threatens politely, hinting at resignations, public friction, investor doubts. You placate the first and delay the second, hoping to buy hours from both. They coordinate without speaking. One draws you in with honey, the other with a threat. Boundaries evaporate because punishments never arrive. Not loud punishments, those are for insecure men, but quiet, exact, scheduled consequences that teach a pattern. You do not deliver them. You speak of context, exceptions, empathy, the bigger picture. Your enemies use your words as rope. They bind your calendar with urgent conversations and clarifying syncs, while their allies cut new passages through your rules and call it innovation. Disorder becomes policy by habit. Watch your court when you say, "We will re-evaluate next week." Scribes do not record law. They hear an invitation to negotiate. The threat of chaos becomes a tool to extract favors. The bravest malcontents become heroes in their smaller circles, trading stories of how they made you blink. A government of blinking cannot command. It can only be requested. Defections begin quietly. A respected manager stops enforcing quality because escalation isn't worth the drama. A veteran departs with a noble letter that blames timing and gratitude. But her friends know the truth. She got tired of building on soft ground. Suppliers demand new terms. Customers test your guarantees. Every actor calculates that pushing you is cheap. Their math is sound. Now comes reputation bankruptcy. When predictability dies, the cost of every action rises. Meetings swell with ritual language because nobody trusts the substance. Announcements have the tone of weather alerts and the lifespan of fireworks. The more you tell people who you are, the less they believe you. They believe what you enforce, and that ledger is empty. Coercion grows noisy. You raise your voice, perform urgency, threaten audits and restructures. Without a track record, these signals are theater. The first time you try to fire a rule into the air, it jams. An internal memo leaks. A protest thread explodes. You retreat to revise the statement, promising consultation and healing. The mob's appetite sharpens. You have taught them that rage edits the script. This is how courts fall, not with a glorious coup, but with 24 small permissions. Not with a decisive villain, but with a tender ruler who made approval a compass and called it compassion. The palace does not burn, it moulders. No one rushes the gate, because the gate opens if you wait. One morning you realize you occupy the building but not the throne. The throne moved the moment you traded consequences for comfort. Recovery, if you want it, begins with a humiliation. Admit that you trained your enemies. You taught them to escalate by rewarding escalation. You taught them to delay by erasing deadlines. You taught them to factionalize by asking factions for blessing. There is pity in this truth. And power. What you trained, you can untrain. Choose one standard you will enforce without apology. Announce it once, privately if possible, and attach a narrow, certain cost. Discharge it the first time it is tested. Do not explain. Do not rescue feelings. Allow disappointment to be the teacher. A second standard follows, then a third. You are not being harsh. You are building a spine others can lean against. You cannot restore trust with warmth. You restore it with time-stamped outcomes. Retribution will tempt you, the dirty rush of punishing the many for the sins of the few. Resist it. Revenge is another performance of need. It declares, please notice my strength. Strength that asks to be noticed is not strength. Choose calm severity. If a public response is necessary, make it brief and exact. Praise compliance more than you punish defiance. Put energy into the architecture, not the applause. As boundaries return, the frenzy quiets. The flatterer finds his compliments unpriced and wanders. The polite threat discovers that the door no longer yields and recalculates. Some leave. Let them. Better a smaller court with gravity than a crowded lobby with wind. You will feel lonely in the new silence, but it is not the old silence. This one is not judgment. It is the sound of structure. You are not the first to fracture under the hunger to be loved. You will not be the last. What matters is the moment you switch from chasing weather to laying stone. You stop sampling and decide. You stop bending and stand. Over weeks, the building remembers how to bear weight. People change their calculations. Respect returns as a rumor, then a habit. Command returns as a quiet thing. Let the silence be order, not panic, and rule by outcomes, not applause. Call it love if you wish. Power hears only terms and costs. You were told that love builds safety. In power, it rarely does. What people call love in public life is conditional goodwill, warm while you provide benefits, cool when you demand payment, gone when you enforce rules. Accept this without bitterness. You are not composing a romance. You are drafting a settlement. If a feeling cannot survive a fair price, it is not loyalty, it is the weather. Goodwill is a lease, not a deed. The crowd rents its affection to whoever keeps streets clean and budgets steady. A team rents its praise to the manager who removes blockers and pays on time. Clients rent enthusiasm to vendors who ship without excuses. When costs rise, leases are reviewed. Ask for sacrifice and signature blur. If you anchor your stability to rented feelings, the first storm will evict you. Anchor it to competence and structure. Make it easy to like you, but make it unnecessary. Test yourself. You love a service until it fails on the one day you need it most. You love a leader until their delays cost you sleep. Your affection follows usefulness, so does theirs. Do not moralize what is mechanical. Price goodwill correctly, useful, welcome, temporary. Invest in reserves, clear processes, and proof of delivery. Let affection come as a bonus, never as collateral. Respect beats affection. Affection says, I like you today. Respect says, I know the price of crossing you, and I prefer to cooperate. Respect is the expectation of consequences under stable rules. When your rules are clear and your penalties swift and proportionate, even critics plan with you. Stability grows because people can foresee outcomes. Calm replaces drama because drama cannot grip what it cannot move. Predictability is kindness in the language of power. A parent who keeps a boundary protects the child. A manager who enforces the standard protects the quiet high performer from the loud underperformer. A mayor who collects fines without argument protects the many from the few who would turn streets into a stage. You are not choosing between being loved and feared. You are choosing between being liked for a season and being relied on for years. Choose the longer good. How does respect look in practice? State the rule once in plain words. Attach a narrow certain cost to breach. Enforce without speeches. Praise compliance more than you punish defiance. Correct in private, document in writing. Move on. Never trade a clear punishment for a muddy apology. People will feel your steadiness before they feel your warmth, and, in time, they will feel safer because of it. Now the doctrine that offends the sentimental but saves the many. Cruelty, well used. It does not mean rage, humiliation, or spectacle. It means decisive, limited severity, applied early to prevent larger harms later. The surgeon cut today to avoid infection tomorrow. In leadership, the cut is a demotion, a termination, a fine, a revoked privilege. Define it beforehand, execute it cleanly, end it swiftly. Close the wound and stop touching it in public. Consider the team standard. A star contributor misses review after review, joking about brilliance on creative time. Charisma seduces you, results distract the room, but missed reviews rot quality and morale. Meet once, set a checkpoint, attach the consequence loss of deploy rights for a month on breach. The breach comes, apply the cost the same day, the star adapts or leaves. Either outcome reduces future cruelties, fewer midnight failures, fewer resentful teammates, fewer hidden rewrites. Consider the contract. A vendor calls you a partner, praises your values, then asks to extend terms beyond the risk you can carry. Decline with a clause and an offer that preserves structure, collateral, staged delivery, smaller scope. If they push, end the deal cleanly. The sweet yes would feel kind now and savage later when cash breaks and layoffs follow. Early severity is mercy for the whole house. Consider deadlines. You have normalized flexibility so completely that dates are folklore. Reverse it. Make every deadline real, with a small certain cost for lateness and a small certain reward for early delivery. In 3 cycles, culture shifts. People learn that your calendar tells the truth. Meetings shrink. Status updates become numbers, not theater. A narrow discipline removes 1,000 frictions. That is cruelty well used at its softest. A rule that prevents the need for louder punishments. Treat optics as smoke and outcomes as stone. The crowd loves warmth until it needs shelter. When storms come, they will not ask if you were charming. They will ask if your roof holds. Respect, not affection, holds roofs. It is quieter. It photographs poorly. But it is the difference between applause and order. Release the wish to be adored for the rules you enforce. You will be appreciated for results or forgotten for failure. Both are fair. Your duty is not to perform virtue. Your duty is to deliver peace. Keep your promises in steel and your tone in velvet. Be economical with forgiveness and generous with clarity. Let people know the price and pay it yourself first. It was never love. It was goodwill on lease, renewed by competence and courage. Write shorter speeches. Write clearer clauses. Enforce earlier and smaller. Save the realm. Choose credible respect over fragile love, and let order do the loving. Necessity is the only court that never takes bribes. You fear disapproval because once it punished you. That fear still knocks on your door whenever power asks you to choose. Today, you won't appease it. You will meet it, measure it, and harness it. This is virtue-disciplined capacity under pressure, not swagger, not rage. The sober strength to do what the situation requires, and to do it cleanly. Begin with the necessity test. 1 page, 4 lines. First, name the necessity. What must exist tomorrow that does not exist today? Order, delivery, solvency, safety. Write it in hard nouns, not moods. Second, define the rule that protects that necessity. Make it simple enough to say once. Third, signal the boundary, quietly, to the right people, in words that can be repeated without decoration. Fourth, enforce once fast, proportionate, and private if possible. The moment you hesitate, the shadow writes the decree for you. An example, your team ships late because reviews drift. The necessity, predictable releases. The rule, all changes require a green review by 6 p.m. Friday, or they roll to the next sprint. The signal, a short note to all hands. The enforcement, the first miss moves without drama, no scolding, no debate. The calendar tells the truth. Within 2 cycles, people plan backward from Friday. Complaints drop because reality has a rhythm again. That is virtue making time keep faith. Another example, a client repeatedly pushes scope after sign-off. The necessity, margin protection. The rule, request changes, trigger a paid change order. The signal, a friendly fixed template. The enforcement, when the next tiny tweak arrives, you send the order rather than a paragraph of explanations. If they accept, you have a real partner. If they refuse, you have a clean exit. Either way, the house is safer. Now balance the fox and the lion. The fox reads the terrain, the lion makes the terrain matter. A fox without a lion becomes a clever servant. A lion without a fox becomes a loud fool. You will be both. In sequence. First, the fox. Learn to read motives under words. Is this praise a bridge to a favor? Is this outrage a tactic to shift deadlines? Is this sudden unity a coalition against standards? Keep a short private brief for each stakeholder, what they fear, what they want, what they test. Listen more than you answer. Silence reveals motives faster than speeches. Then, the lion credible force. Your force is not volume, it is certainty. Private warnings before public penalties. Narrow punishments that fit the breach. Generous resets after compliance. Example, a high performer who undermines peers in meetings. Fox, you confirm the pattern quietly with 2 witnesses. Lion, you set a one-on-one rule, no crossfire, no interruptions, and you cut their speaking time the next meeting when they break it. Reset. When they adapt for 2 weeks, you restore full time, no drama. In contracts, Fox, you spot the clause that shifts all risk to you, wrapped in soft language. Lion, you remove it and replace it with a balanced term. If they push, you walk. The reset is a future door left unlocked because you did not slam it, you simply declined the trap. In public discourse, Fox, you see the bait to drag you into a noisy fight. Lion, you refuse the spectacle. Issue 1 clear statement, then starve the fire with silence. After compliance in this case, after the mob moves on, you return to your work. Now build reputation architecture. Reputation is the shadow your actions cast in other rooms. Design that shadow. Use sparse words. Most decrees can be 1 paragraph. Most answers, 2 sentences. People cannot misquote silence, and short text survives screenshots. Follow through swiftly. A promise that lingers decays into a rumor. No public quarrels. Arguing in the square gives your rivals free theater and teaches your allies that you need noise to rule. Create a weekly audit to prevent drift toward appeasement. 10 minutes, 3 questions. Where did I trade clarity for comfort? Where did I delay a cost that will now be higher? Where did I perform strength instead of delivering outcomes? Write 1 corrective act per answer and execute it before Friday. Over time, this habit becomes a moat around your mind. The shadow will still speak, but it will not hold a vote. Design a few rituals that make standards feel dignified, not punitive. Celebrate boring, wins, deadlines met, defects avoided, clean reviews. Boredom is the scent of order. Reward those who reduce drama. Quiet bonuses, brief notes, a visible calendar of completed obligations. When the decent see that dignity lives inside the rules, they will defend the rules for you. Guard your mercy. Mercy is precious metal. Spend it with aim. Mercy before credibility invites wolves. Mercy after enforcement teaches humanity. A late fee waived after 3 on-time months buys loyalty. A first-time breach met with a measured warning builds morale. But a serial violator forgiven in the name of culture devalues everyone's effort. Your people long to work in a place where good behavior is not a disadvantage. Expect protests. When you stop being purchasable with praise, the praise will sour. When consequences arrive, stories will bloom about your coldness. Do not answer stories with stories. Answer with calendars, logs, ship dates, balanced ledgers. Over 6 weeks, tales tire, numbers accumulate. The realm will grow quieter because incentives are doing the talking. Peace is not a feeling, it is an engineered state. You design it with necessity, you protect it with rules, you dignify it with restraint. Virtue is not a mask you wear when cameras are on. It is the machinery that runs when nobody is watching. Clear standards, modest speech, reliable teeth, quick forgiveness for those who return. You will still feel the tug of the old hunger. Approval knocks like a familiar song in another room. Hear it and keep walking. You have something better than applause. You have a pattern that converts storms into structure. In time, even those who dislike you will plan around you. Enemies will predict you and avoid your walls. Friends will relax, the house will hold. Choose necessity, speak little, enforce once, reset generously, audit weekly, praise the boring. That is how you meet the shadow and make it serve you. That is how you make power quiet. Do what must be done calmly, quickly, and the realm will rest. The peace you want will not arrive by prayer. It must be built, guarded, and paid for in advance. You let go of the need to be loved, and the noise lowers like a storm drifting out to sea. What remains is work, rules that hold, and a schedule that tells the truth. Quiet order is mercy because it spares the decent from living inside other people's tantrums. Boundaries reduce the number of times you must be severe. They shrink the theater where drama feeds. You will still forgive, but you will forgive without surrender. Think of order as lighting in a city at night. When the lamps are reliable, thieves move to darker streets, and citizens walk without glancing over their shoulders. Your standards are those lamps. You replace the flicker of approval with the hum of predictability. Meetings end on time. Deadlines mean something. Arguments shorten because the map is clear. This is not romance, it is relief. The good breathe easier when the rules are real. Quiet order does not ask for applause, it asks for maintenance. You will sweep the floors of your house every week. The same necessity test, the same single enforcement, the same refusal to bargain with a temper. This rhythm is boring, and boredom is a blessing. Boredom means nothing is on fire. It means children sleep. It means work ships. The world outside may chase headlines. Your realm will collect outcomes. As the noise fades, the right allies appear. Not the charming ones who trade praise for favors, but the solid ones who value stability more than flattery. They will not throw flowers. They will show up. Their loyalty grows from shared incentives, not shared moods. You protect the fabric that protects them: clarity, fairness, proportion, and they repay you by carrying weight without complaint. The court simplifies: fewer meetings, fewer crises, more craft, more plans, more delivered promises. You will notice that honest partners are drawn to prices that do not change. A supplier trusts you because your clauses mean what they say. A colleague trusts you because you defend the standard, even when talent asks for a discount. A friend trusts you because your yes is narrow, your no is clean, and both arrive on time. These allies endure because your gravity is constant. You are no longer a lighthouse blinking for love. You are a lighthouse that simply works. When necessity, not applause, guides you, you stop living like a weather vane and start living like a wall. The wind still blows. You do not. You will feel lonely at first, because approval once filled your rooms with a cheap crowd. Then, a better quiet arrives. It is the silence of equipment that runs. It is the silence of prisons empty because rules are known. It is the silence of a kitchen after dinner where every tool is back in its place. This quiet is not emptiness, it is readiness. Personal sovereignty follows the same design as public rule. You set the edge of your time, your money, your attention, and you defend it with small, certain costs. You move your body when you said you would. You close the screen when the clock says to close it. You forgive yourself without giving yourself a discount. You stop auditioning for strangers and prepare for tomorrow by doing today's plain work. What once felt like coldness to yourself becomes care. Do not confuse this peace with softness. Peace is a strategic victory, a state engineered by disciplined choices that deny chaos cheap victories. You will still face tests. Someone will hammer your door with urgency. Someone will bait you into a public quarrel. You will feel the old itch to explain. Decline the invitation. Hold the line quietly. The invitation expires without your energy, and your reputation grows while you do nothing but keep your word. The reward is smaller than a parade and larger than a kingdom. It is a life that does not leak. Your allies know what to expect. Your enemies know what to avoid. You sleep because the roof holds, and you wake because the sun does. Choose rules over applause, and let peace become your power.